Rubber game between the Cardinals and the Florida Marlins here this afternoon. The Cardinals trying to drop the magic number to at least 9 with a win today. And we're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis in a gorgeous afternoon for baseball. Joel Pinheiro getting the start, and his only start against Florida, Al, was last year.
And he pitched very well in that outing, picks up the victory. And, of course, this is a very important game to the Cardinals. Off day tomorrow, and then you have Chicago coming to town, so let's get it going on a winning note.
And that's Al. I'm Dan. Josh Johnson getting the start for the Marlins, and he could be a handful.
Right, it really is. He's an outstanding pitcher. Slowed down a little bit, but the Cardinals will have their hands full.
When we come back, it's 6 degrees of Cardinal Nation. And we'll look at World Series heroes when we come back. The Cubs-Cardinals series on Friday night as Tony La Russa puts him penciled in for Game 1. How about a World Series? Could be the second go-around for John Smoltz. 6 degrees of Cardinal Nation, and here we go.
The Florida Marlins didn't take long to make their mark on the game of baseball. 2 outs, bases loaded, bottom of the 9th, Game 7 of the 1997 World Series. The baseball world was introduced to Edgar Renteria.
A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won.
One of many Marlins eventually traded away, Renteria was sent to St. Louis for Braden Looper. He went on to 3 All-Star games, won 2 Gold Gloves, and helped the Redbirds reach the Fall Classic in 2004. But the first Colombian to ever play in the World Series happened to be the last out. Renteria became a World Series hero only because teammate Craig Counsell was standing on third. Talk about being in the right place at the right time. Counsell's run in Florida helped the franchise to a World Series in its 4th full season. His run in 2001 helped Arizona win a World Series in their 4th full season, and it also helped teammate Young Kim sleep a little better. Throughout the 2001 season, Kim baffled hitters. He took care of the Cards in the division series and was automatic against Atlanta in the LCS. But Kim's world came crashing down after he was bombed in the Bronx. Despite Kim's blow-up, the Diamondbacks still pulled off the historic upset thanks to Curt Schilling. Schilling's 20-year career was primarily spent with Philadelphia, Arizona, and Boston. All three went to the World Series thanks to Schilling. Schilling went 11-2 with a 2.23 ERA in postseason play. During World Series play, he threw a complete game in Philly, won World Series MVP in Arizona, and became a legend in Boston. Schilling didn't win his first World Series MVP until he was 34. Josh Beckett, a teammate of Schilling's with the Red Sox, won his first World Series MVP when he was 23. Beckett, another great player who started in Florida, was traded to Boston for current Marlins star Hanley Ramirez. The Red Sox knew how good Ramirez would be, but they also knew how good Beckett was. And at 29 years of age, he's looking for his third World Series ring in the last 7 years, just like Boston. But as good as Josh Beckett has been in his postseason career, he's no John Smoltz. Smoltz, Beckett's teammate earlier in the year with Boston, will forever be remembered as a winner. He won and saved a total of 367 games, and no other pitcher has more postseason wins in baseball history than Smoltz. Since his MLB debut in July of 1988, he helped Atlanta to the playoffs 14 times in 21 years. But for John Smoltz, it's not enough. In 17 seasons, the Marlins have 2 world championships. In 21 seasons, John Smoltz has 1. But now that he's decided to run with the Redbirds, he's hoping to end his surefire Hall of Fame career on top, with a little help from his friends, of course.
Here in St. Louis, Missouri, gorgeous day for baseball. Let's take a look at some of the expansion teams, how they fared, the last 4 that have entered the league, and also some notable picks in the expansion draft with these teams. First season, 98, won pennant, then swept out of the World Series for Tampa Bay. Notable pick, how about Bobby Abreu? Meanwhile, a memorable World Series for Arizona. Luis Gonzalez, Mariano Rivera, little floater and a base hit. Craig Counsell and the Arizona Diamondbacks would win it. That would be his second World Series title. Notable pick for Arizona. How about Jeff Suppan? Colorado, first season, 93, won pennant, and then they were swept by Boston. Notable pick for Colorado. How about Joe Girardi, the current manager of the Yankees? That's Matt Holliday there. And finally, the Florida Marlins. Twice they have made it to the World Series. Twice they have won. They beat Cleveland. They beat the Yankees. A notable pick for Florida. How about the all-time saves leader in Trevor Hoffman? Just some of the history of these expansion teams. Florida's in town. We'll wrap up the series in just a moment. expecting over 40,000 here at Busch Stadium on a gorgeous afternoon. Joel Pinheiro tries to pick up win number 15, and the Cardinals look for win number 86 overall. Tony La Russa has his lineup card ready. How about you? Sit back and get ready for baseball. Bud Light with just the right taste and never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire, for the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. And by Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. Just outside the stadium, that gentleman right there, you see him before and after games, entertaining the home folks. And let's take a look at the Florida Marlins lineup this afternoon. The Marlins come in at 77 and 68. Chris Coughlin, Nick Johnson, and Hanley Ramirez. Jorge Cantu, Dan Uggla, John Baker, Cody Ross, Cameron Maybin, and the pitcher Josh Johnson. He's a good one. And Pinheiro has been a good one this year for the Cardinals. This will be his 29th start and trying to pick up win number 15.
ERA is 15th in the National League, and it's much better at home, about 2.5. Overall, you see the 321 numbers and the 28 starts, 3 complete games, and they have just been dominant complete games.
His numbers brought to you by Marshall Wireless. We've talked so much about his sinker this year being a big pitch for Pinheiro, and the lack of walks and lack of home runs allowed. That combination has led to nearly 15 wins.
That really has, and then he also has mixed in a pretty good slider. And he producing a better off-speed pitch, you know, for the strikeouts. But when you start seeing him get those ground balls, you know he's on.
That's a strike, says Mike Winters, the home plate umpire.
If he gets that pitch right there and keeps on repeating the ball down, if they hit it, they'll pound it right in the ground.
The 2-2 pitch. Great pitch on the outside corner. That slider really keeps the hitters honest. They know that probably 70 to 75% of the time he's going to throw that sinker, but the slider really has an added effect to it.
You're not afraid to let people hit. You got a good sinker, let them hit the ball, but then it keeps you off balance with the slider or curveball.
That's it out of play and foul as the crowd is still filing in. IMC Career Day this morning, and we've got 3,000 students who get the day off and have a chance to come in and watch a little baseball. Andy Bennis a part of that. Kerry Robinson, Dan Farrell. There's a ground ball hit to second base. handled by Schumacher. Also John Abamondi, who is the assistant GM of the Cardinals. I don't know if you knew this. He's a graduate of MIT as well as a graduate student and at Stanford as he finished up there, but also had over 40 missions for the
Navy.
Yeah, and he did that over in Iraq. 40 flights that he took, over 40. There's a ground ball again past Schumacher and into right field. Johnson the first hit. You will get that with all these ground balls. Some of them will find holes, and that one does off the bat of Johnson. Holliday, Rasmus, and Keel in the outfield. Thurston, Lugo, Skip Schumacher, and Albert Pujols along the infield. And the battery today, Joel Pinheiro and Yadier Molina. Cardinals defense presented by Auto Tire.
You touched on it, Dan, that with Pinheiro and that great sinker, a lot of these hitters will hit ground balls. So a certain percentage will go through, but many times after a base hit, he'll turn around and get a double play ball.
Cardinals in the first inning last night with Wainwright got Ramirez to bounce into a 6-4-3 double play. He's the 06 National League Rookie of the Year, All-Star in 08, won the Silver Slugger in 08. And in 09, he's been an All-Star and may win the batting championship before it's all said and done.
And another Silver Slugger award is he's leading the National League in hitting. He's got 23 home runs and 99 RBIs.
0-1 pitch in the air to right field. Base hit. Johnson will stop at second. And it's first and second now with only one out. And it brings in the cleanup man, Jorge Cantu.
See the movement, but kind of sliding in the zone instead of sinking. So what hitters will try to do is if they know they got a sinker ball pitcher, they try to get him to elevate. And if he doesn't get the ball down around the thighs and then the sinking action bottoms it out, that ball kind of has a tendency to slide on the same plane and up. It's much more hittable.
Cantu last year had 29 home runs for the Marlins. This year he's got 15 to go along with 86 RBIs, and he comes into play today hitting .281. Started his major league career with Tampa Bay, came up in 04 and played in only 27 games in 07 with Cincinnati before he signed as a free agent with the Marlins. 1-0 pitch and therefore strike, 1 ball 1 strike. Now I talked with Tony La Russa before the game today, Al, and he says as far as the rotation is concerned for this weekend against the Cubs, John Smoltz will go on Friday, Chris Carpenter Saturday, Adam Wainwright on Sunday. So the big guns are lined up.
Pretty impressive.
Here's a shot that Lugo gets. Can he get it out of the glove? He can't. And everybody is safe, but that saves a run. It's a base hit. That's 3 consecutive hits now for the Marlins.
Right, Dan. It saves a run because he knocks it down, doesn't allow it to go to the outfield. But then he just a helpless feeling as he went to reach in for it, couldn't find it, and he still can't find it, and never could get the handle on it. But he does save a run, and you're still, once again, even with the 3 consecutive hits, you're 1 ground ball away from getting out of it.
So Coughlin grounded out to start the game. Johnson a base hit with a ground ball to the right side. Ramirez a little flare, and then Cantu robbed there by Lugo of an RBI, but does get the base hit. And here's Dan Uggla. The only mistake that Wainwright made last night was to Uggla. Turned out to be the game-winning home run and hit.
2-run home run to erase the 1-0 lead.
Now Wainwright will tell you that it wasn't a mistake. He liked the pitch. It was just a good job by Uggla. He knocked it over the wall.
Well, it was down, but in my mind, it was a bad location down and in where they just dropped the bat head and you're hitting it to the shortest part of the field, the left side.
Good pitch on the outside corner. 0-2. And let's go back to last night, the home run by Uggla.
He said he was looking breaking ball and he threw so many, but there's the natural arc. You see the ball down and in, and you're a left-hander, but there's a lot of home runs. The guy says dropping some head. It's a hitting term.
0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. His first year was with Florida in 06. 32 home runs last year, 31 the year before. Just missed on the inside corner. Now, Uggla was selected from the Diamondbacks, a Rule 5 pickup back in 05.
One of the better ones that we've heard of lately. Four consecutive years, he's had at least 25 home runs.
And a 2-2. In the air, shallow right, drops in for a hit. Throw to second, out with the force play. A strong throw from Ankiel. Base hit RBI, 1-0 Florida.
See right there, very much alert and aware of the situation as the runner between first and second wasn't sure whether Ankiel was going to catch it. A tough running play, and he gets thrown out by the exceptional arm and a force out at second.
So goes fielder's choice on that play. And it brings in now Baker.
Get an RBI.
So fielder's choice, 9-6 on that play. No base hit. And here's Baker, who is 1 for 2 in this series. 268 overall, 9 home runs, 47 driven in. Up the middle, that's a base hit. 2-0 Marlins. Ramirez scores.
29th start for Pinheiro, and by far the most runs he gives up in an inning are in the first inning. Now it's 22 runs he's allowed in the first inning. After that, he settles in and kind of those ground balls, finds a release point there. They don't find holes, or you don't see as many balls that go to the outfield.
And Baker picks up RBI number 48. And to see the Marlins 47-26 when scoring first this season. Cody Ross, remember when we saw him in Florida first time through, we're talking about the amazing plays he was making defensively, and at that time he was in center, but with Maben here he can play either left or right, and today Cody Ross is in right field. He's picked up from the Reds back in 06. That's hammered out to center field and a base hit. The wave in the runner, the throw to the plate. It's there, but the tag is not safe. 3-0 Florida. So Ross picks up his 86th RBI, and that scores Uggla.
Kobe comes up here, a strong throw. And that second hop was a little bit tricky for Molina. So he's going to have plenty of time to hold on to it and apply the tag, but he never has really command or control of the ball.
The rough start here for Pinheiro, 2 outs, and runners at second and third. 8th place hitter, Maben. And a strike on the outside corner.
There's that second little short hop as he's trying to look at a glove, prepare for a type of collision, and just doesn't have command or control of the ball.
Talked about Maben, part of that big deal with Cabrera going to Detroit. That's strike 2. In 2008, he spent all of the 08 campaign at AA Carolina, and then he was brought up by Florida on September 2nd. He's only 21 years old.
Yeah, he broke with the club this year out of spring training, but after hitting just 200, sent him back down, had a solid season, led his club with a 319 average at AAA, and then has been recalled. And just a matter of time before he plays every day and produces like he is expected.
He was a 10th overall pick in 05 by Detroit from Arden, North Carolina. In a swing and a miss, Pinheiro gets the strikeout, his first of the afternoon. And the Marlins strike first with 3 runs. Keel and Pujols, Holiday, Rasmus, Molina, Thurston, Lugo, and Pinheiro. Tony La Russa's lineup for this afternoon's ball game, and the Cardinals face a good one, Josh Johnson. He's a big guy out there, 6'7", 250-pounder, a record of 14-4, and his numbers brought to you by Marcia Wireless.
He's already posted career highs in wins, starts, strikeouts, and innings pitched. He's also an all-star this year for the first time. They're very concerned about his pitch and innings. You know, he recovered very quickly. 11 months after Tommy John surgery, he was back pitching last year and went 7-1 down the stretch, but they're really trying to monitor his innings.
That's a strike to Schumacher.
And one of the things, Dan, is the last couple starts, really his slider and his changeup really have not been there, so you're seeing a lot more fastballs.
I was watching video with a couple of the Cardinal coaches, and they were remarking about that, and you could see, you know, how much of the fastballs that he was throwing. Not a lot of off-speed pitches, but it's a guy that throws hard and he'll go right at the hitters.
He resides right now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so he's aware of Cardinal Nation, and I'm sure he's got a lot of family and friends that are tuning in, watching this game.
Graduated from Jenks High School. All-State as a senior, also played basketball. And that's a base hit for Schumacher. Remember last night, late insertion into the lineup. First 2 times up, he struck out. And then the next 2, he got base hits.
And right there was a nice piece of hitting, as he really was very patient. And he's been good playing catch with that left fielder, hasn't he?
He sure has, and he came into play at 299, so right at that 300 mark.
And look at just taking that pitch away, just making contact, just guiding, using his hands just to extend the bat and guiding it through the left side. He had back-to-back 3-hit games prior to last night, and as you said, 2 hits in that game and good start today.
Keel is hitting .235 and hitting in front of Pujols today. 11 home runs, 37 RBIs as he makes his 2nd consecutive start in the series.
He's 3 for 4 off of Johnson, so one of the reasons why he's in the lineup and hitting near the top.
Florida native that has hit the Marlins well this year. 0-1 pitch. Taken outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. The Marlins, don't count them out just yet. 4.5 out in the wild card. And then you look and you say, okay, there's 7 back of the Philadelphia Phillies, but they play them 6 more times before the season is through.
Well, a few years ago, wasn't it, that the Phillies could not beat the Florida Marlins? And that has changed over the years, but back in their minds, they know that they can put a scare in Philadelphia.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Keel fouls it back.
This leads back on track, pitching well for Philadelphia.
I think you would agree, and I know the Marlins would, because it's the only way they've gotten into the playoffs. But the wild card has been a good thing for baseball. I mean, even the traditionalists have to look at this and say it's created more excitement. It's given fans more of a reason to go to a ballpark and watch teams at the end of a season.
Well, just think about a club that maybe has some really bad injuries coming out of spring training or out of the gate slow, and they really get eliminated, all but the wild card.
That's right.
And then they get a chance to play. Just, you know, television ratings are an aspect of it. More clubs feel like they have chances or playing meaningful games in September. But I think overall, I totally agree with you that it's been good for the game.
And that's a swing and a miss by Ricky Ankiel, who struck out a couple of times last night. So 15 years for the wild card. Coughlin, Maven, and Cody Ross in the outfield. It's Cantu, Ramirez, Ugla, and Johnson along the infield. Johnson and Baker, the battery today, and that's brought to you by Auto Tire.
Well, the fastball has increased in velocity, but I would think I might want to try some of my secondary pitches on Albert.
And that's a base hit for Pujols.
That's why.
You know, one of the most controversial calls in the history of the wild card, albeit brief, involves this man at the plate, and that's Matt Holliday. For his slide, you see the perfect swing of Pujols.
Fastball, and he was ready for it. Jumps on it. I don't remember what you're talking about.
Matt Holliday and Trevor Hoffman were part of this game, and it was in the 13th inning, Coors Field in San Diego, and the Rockies, and it was a play at the plate, and it's controversial because video has been inconclusive as to whether or not, and he dove head first to the plate, whether or not he was safe, and then the Rockies would win that game and eventually make it into postseason play because of that call. And Holliday at the time said, when he was asked if he was safe, he didn't say, oh, you know, he didn't just come out and say, yeah, I was in there. He said, I think so. They called me safe, so I must have been.
Wasn't ringing endorsement, was it?
Not at all. And the Rockies in the 07 then went on to win the National League pennant and go on to their first World Series.
It's past my bedtime. 13th inning.
It was late.
West Coast.
Even then, it was late for you, Al. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 runners on with 1 out. Holliday just didn't seem like he was seeing the ball that well yesterday.
No, it did not. It just, and first time we've ever seen frustration from it.
Two balls and 1 strike. Holliday with the Cardinals hitting .363. 12 home runs, 48 driven in. Two and two. Ouch. The foul ball. You're wondering the Cubs will play later tonight against Milwaukee. And then we'll see the Cubs on Friday night.
Puts a lot of pressure on the Cubbies if you can win this game and post a victory, and then they have to win. And then what a great matchup and showdown. Wish we could tell you there are tickets available. I guess standing room only, right?
It's my understanding. And as we mentioned before, Tony La Russa has shuffled his starting rotation. Kyle Lohse will get a couple of days of rest with the off day. Tony La Russa will have Smoltz on Friday, Carpenter on Saturday, Wainwright Sunday, and then Loesch, you would figure, would start against Houston as we begin our final regular season road trip of the year. John Smoltz 1-1 since joining the Cardinals, and he'll get his first taste of the Cubs-Cardinal rivalry. I said to Tony, what do you think that's going to be like for him? And he said, well, let's put it this way, he won't be overwhelmed. I mean, he's been through so many big games in his career, but certainly another chapter to his unbelievable career.
Well, John Smoltz said something that some people might find hard to believe.
Holiday strikes out.
And a wild swing right there for the second strikeout. But he said he actually feels more comfortable in postseason playoff atmospheres than he does during the regular season.
What it tells me is he's got unbelievable guts.
Oh, absolutely. So you know that he will be ready for Friday night, and you know what he's got left in the tank. He also heard him say that when he first got here, he felt like he would need time in the bullpen, but he says he doesn't feel that way anymore. And what we were talking about is, you know, if he were ultimately on a postseason roster, would be pitching out of the bullpen, he wanted to make several appearances and see how he would bounce back. And that was his mindset when he got here, but that has changed. He said, I can do it now.
1-0 pitch to Colby Rasmus. Homered in game 1 of the series, a 3-run shot off the hard-throwing right-hander Lidstrom. The Cardinals won game 1. Marlins 2-1 last night. Here we go in game 3, and Cardinals trailed 3-0 in the bottom of the first. Hard to believe there's only 6 home games remaining in the regular season.
16 total, including tonight.
And the Cardinals, the Cardinals have Chicago this weekend. Then we'll wrap up the schedule with Milwaukee, the final regular season weekend, which takes us into October. And you could have a situation where you're playing deep into November. You could be playing in the first couple of weeks of November with the World Series if it would be extended.
Yeah, it's supposed to go, I guess, maximum right around the 7th, 6th or 7th. So, like you said, and you could be playing in Colorado.
Little flare into right center. Who wants it? Right fielder Ross takes it, and the Cardinals strand 2. He played 1. Pinheiro back to the mound in the second. When we come back. After the break, much better, and the record much better, as it's over 5.5.
But I think that's still a little deceiving, because his last time out, you see he was 7-1. His last time out, he lost his 8-game hitting streak, getting beat 1-0. And there have been many times, many times in the beginning of the meant winning streak, but remember he had that stretch run where he got about 7 runs total, and when he was out there on the mound, so there had to be some really high-scoring games in there to get that average. But on a daily basis, he's had a very few games where he's really been blown out, where he hasn't had a lot of run support.
2-1 on Josh Johnson, and that is off the glove of Thurston into shallow left. Johnson rounding first, he'll stop there.
Base hit, and Thurston has committed 11 errors, but it's been a long time since he's been out there in the field. And that ball was hit hard, tries to go to his backhand, and it's the 11th hit for Johnson, and came in batting 179. But normally these infielders are ready for anything, but they're ready to have nice little ground balls instead of some rockets.
See Thurston over there at third. David Freese, St. Louis and a third baseman, homered the only run at AAA Memphis, and that's all that they needed. Their first round playoff series against Albuquerque. That was the difference in their game last night.
Last night they won 1-0. Jaime Garcia pitched 6+ innings of excellent baseball.
You got to figure that he's in the conversation for the rotation next year, the lefty Jaime Garcia.
I think so, you know.
Up and down season for Freese. You consider the accident that he had in the offseason. Arrived at spring training at that bum heel. Tried to play through it. Had trouble running the bases, but then eventually broke camp with the Cardinals. Troy Gloss, the other third baseman, has had injuries all season he's been dealing with, most notably his shoulder. The 2-1. That's a base hit out to left. Now what you want to see here from Pinheiro, the first 2 have reached, and already not an out recorded here in the second inning, and 7 base hits for the Marlins. Visit the official online shop of the Cardinals at STLCardinals.com for the largest selection of authentic postseason caps, t-shirts, jerseys, and more. Get your playoff gear straight from the source. STLCardinals.com. Shop today. And the other out that he recorded in the first inning was a fielder's choice, but really a base hit.
And yeah, that took away a hit, so they really would have 8 hits on the board.
Johnson bunting. And he's tagged out by Pinheiro. How about that? I'm not sure I like that. Johnson's got the ability, as we saw earlier in the series, to knock it out of the park or drive somebody in.
Gonzalez trying to get runs early. One of the things kind of mentioned that Josh Johnson, they're trying to, and that's Nick Johnson, who sacrificed their first baseman, not the pitcher, who's on at third base with a base hit, but and they're going to intentionally pass Ramirez. But one of the things that they're very concerned about him, and with some of his long innings and everything, they're going to really kind of monitor him to like 5 innings. So try and get him as big as lead as they can possibly get, and hopefully secure another victory for him.
There's another one of those young stars that they've got with the Marlins, and you just wonder how much longer will he be wearing that uniform. Unfortunately, if you're a fan of the Marlins, that's in the back of your mind.
I think somewhere in the back of ownership mind saying they can't keep on doing that, especially going to be moving into a new ballpark. They're going to, they'll lock up Ramirez and they'll lock up a couple guys, and they better keep some of their young pitchers.
He'd be one, wouldn't he?
Yes.
He's a good one. Well, as you've talked about, with that ability to get the ground ball, load him up here. You pitch around the dangerous Ramirez with the intentional walk and a chance at a double play to get out of the inning. Jorge Cantu singled first time up. Bases loaded and a chance for the Marlins to bust this game open early. First pitch by Joel Pinheiro. Lifted in the air out to deep left field. Holiday under it. will make the catch. The throw will come into nowhere as they anticipated the throw going into third base, and that allows both runners to advance to second and third.
Yeah, Matt really backed up on the ball and got his momentum behind him, but he was off line as he really threw it to the center of the diamond. But you can see defensively they're expecting the throw to come, to third base, and they would have had a play at the runner at third base, but there was no reason to throw it in that area.
The only thing I can think that he's thinking is that, well, I'm getting back, it's the pitcher running, maybe I have a chance. Everybody else in the diamond, though, anticipating the throw to go into third.
Well, and he was deeper than he is right now. He really should not have been thinking that way, and that's where you really lead to a crooked number by trying to make that miraculous throw and do something extraordinary when all you have to do what is ordinary.
And Cantu picks up his 87th RBI, 4-0 Florida. That pitch is up, but a strike, and it's 0-2. They're on Dan Uggla.
I think they had a chance at the runner Coghlan at third base if they threw it exactly where your defensive infielders were lining up for the relay, was for the play at third, and when that ball got to the infield, Coghlan was halfway to third base. I think it's a good day for an off day tomorrow.
Seems that way after the Atlanta series, and Cardinals did take game one of this one, but lost last night. Now trailing 4-0. Well, like we said before, it's you want to win, but it's not necessarily the worst thing with the lead that the Cardinals have.
It's such a fine line, Dan, and like you say, you can justify it when you have a big lead and kind of talking that way, but it's something that you really don't want your team to start thinking that they can afford to lose a game here and there. But you're all right. If you're gonna have a losing streak, have it now and don't have it when the playoffs start.
You've been around a long time. I mean, you've seen teams that have lost 6 in a row while the guys that are chasing you win 6 in a row.
Sure.
I mean, that has happened.
And but then you can go back to recent history of 06 and say that team that won the World Championship, there was no way going into the that final weekend. Your biggest question, were they going to get there? And then two, you never thought they'd do what they did.
Guerrero, nice play. Fires over to Pujols. Marlins strand 2, add to their lead with a run. It's 4-0 midway through 2. Friday, Fox Sports Midwest presents the Blues Fan Fest. Fans can be players and broadcasters, play interactive games, and take a photo at our Blues Live set. And stay to watch the Blues take on the Dallas Stars. The first 3,000 fans get a Fox Sports Midwest Fan Fest shirt. And activities begin at 3. For more information on tickets, go to stlblues.com. Here's Yadier Molina, who has caught 1,100 innings this season. 5th Cardinals catcher since 1954 to reach that plateau. He joins Ted Simmons, Tim McCarver, Tom Pagnazzi, who did it twice, and Tony Pena to do it. So a workhorse behind there for the Cardinals.
Simmons did it 6 times. Carver 4 times, Pags twice, Pena once.
Chopper hit left side, cut off by the third baseman. And that's Cantu to make the play. So the first man retired. It brings in Joe Thurston. Mark DeRosa not at third base today. He's played very well in the field. He continues to struggle at the plate as DeRosa 2 for 19 in the homestand. And his average with the Cardinals has dropped now to 230.
I think it's a good idea. You give him 2 days off, kind of rest that wrist a little bit, hopefully get him healthy. But these are very important bats for Joe Thurston. See if he gets on the playoff roster.
And
that'll
he
help.
Slices one the other way. That's a base hit. I know Tony was saying the other day that he really likes how Thurston has approached his at-bats as a pinch hitter. And we've seen a couple of balls hit hard off his bat in that situation. Cardinal fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve Major League service, so go online to StubHub. It's the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the Cardinals and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee.
Well, Dan, you almost got to remember, too, that Thurston, if Gloss would have been healthy, you know, Thurston's role was going to be as a guy coming off the bench. And being the fact that he's left-handed, I think gives him a distinct advantage.
And now it's Lugo. Unfortunately for Gloss, he can't get healthy.
Right.
It's been one thing after another. If he was going to be on that postseason roster, it'd be a risk for Tony just because he can't stay healthy.
Yeah, the speculation was it would be taking 2 of the 3 candidates, Gloss, Green, or Thurston. And that kind of decision is being made for you by Gloss now. It's not the back, it's not the shoulder, it's a rib cage, abdominal strength, or oblique strength. By all kinds of things.
And Lugo has 1 ball to 1 strike on him. Pinheiro on deck. Marlins amazingly have won already 2 World Series since they came into the league. Think about some of the talent that they've had. One way, Wayne Huizenga went out and almost bought himself a World Series championship with all the great veterans.
No. Don't say that. He did buy it.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't almost, it did.
So in many ways, the first time through, that's how they did it. It's this is stung off the bat of Lugo. Maben, right center, makes the catch. But the second time through, after dumping all those fine players, they got prospects who turned out to be outstanding Major League players.
But in many ways, I say it's Major League Baseball's fault. They saw the deep pockets of Wayne Huizenga and then just said, oh, we want you. We insist that you become an owner. And then, he wins a world championship and said, hey, I'm going to sell the franchise, dumps everybody. So they really didn't find a true baseball man, or a man that loves the game like so many of the owners.
They do have their new stadium coming. Retractable roof, as it will rain every day down in South Florida.
I never played in the Florida State League, but we've seen since the Marlins been in existence, but they say it's just amazing that it rains every afternoon. And that really is literally the case where you have to have the retractable roof.
And Tampa Bay, of course, plays in a dome, but you've got so many folks that live there from other cities that, you know, love their hometown team, not necessarily the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, and that's one of the things that you talk to the people in South Florida. They just, you know, the Cardinals have always been a good draw no matter where they go, but they always talk about all the people, the transplants from New York and on the upper part of the East Coast, and they come and just flock the games for the Yankees or for the Mets.
Runner goes, and Thurston has himself a steal. Number 4 for Thurston.
Yeah, big guy, slow to the plate, does not hold runners well. And once you get enough of a read to understand that he's going to the plate, you got a good chance to come up without a throw.
It's the Exmo Camp presented by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill, 1 block south of the ballpark on Broadway. 2-2 pitch to Pinheiro. Hits it out of play and foul. What a gorgeous afternoon we've got here today in the Gateway City.
Beautiful summer it's been.
Unbelievable.
Not the traditional scorching heat of St. Louis, but relatively comfortable. Only been a couple little spells.
The only one I can remember at the ballpark this year was that series against Minnesota. That was a typical St. Louis weekend in the summer. It was scorching hot.
But I can remember in the 70s being here and
Pinheiro, Ross on the move, makes a fine catch on the run.
And being almost 100 degrees at midnight.
And the Cardinals strand Thurston. Outstanding play in right field by Cody Ross. 4-0 Florida. We talked about them last night. Adoption centers are available 7 days a week in every PetSmart store. Jim Hayes a part of this. And if you're thinking about welcoming a loving dog or cat into your home, not Jim, visit a PetSmart store. For information about Purina Pro Plan support for adoptable pets, visit PetSmartCharities.org. And all adoption centers at PetSmart are managed by local groups like Open Door Animal Sanctuary.
That's Hank, huh?
That's Hank.
Name appropriate. Kind of looks like a Hank.
I'll take your word for it.
I'm waiting to see a Vizsla.
Go ahead, Al. Explain it.
It's a Hungarian dog. Hungarian hunting dog.
What kind of animals are being hunted in Hungary?
It's a hunting dog. You know, a
Explain
Hungarian.
what you're talking about here, Al. Now you got my attention.
It's a bred hunting dog from Hungary. They're very beautiful animals. I'll bring you a picture of one.
I trust it's a gorgeous dog.
It's a very gorgeous. There's another Hungarian dog that I don't know how to describe it, but it looks like, you know, he's got hair all over the place. Just it looks weird.
Hey, there's a base hit out to left center, and over to get it, Rasmus.
And it's weird that he has given up so many hits.
John Baker's got the base hit. And Baker is 2 for 2. I'm going to let you read the promo next time and just you start in on some of the wonderful animals that you love.
We'll just stick with Hank. But you see Molina set up inside, and look at the ball. Completely outside and up. Much more hittable pitch. There's a Vizsla. Thank you. Thank you. Now, isn't that a beautiful, gorgeous dog? That's a Hungarian hunting dog.
That's amazing.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Truck.
It's a gorgeous dog, Al. Strike one on Cody Ross.
You don't find any Hungarians in those adoption centers.
Probably not. But you never know.
Someone would be lucky to get a Vizsla.
Popped up and out of play. Ross's first time up. RBI single back in the first. Where's Jim Hayes when you need him?
He's playing with the cats.
Jim has done a nice thing. Jim has had a group that spent a lot of money during the winter warm-up to spend a day with Jim Hayes at the ballpark. And so that group has been with Jim since about 11 o'clock this morning, down on the field, up in the booth, and upstairs with Jim. No balls and 2 strikes, and Pinheiro needs a double play. Pitch number 55. Foul.
Dan, we always do nice things that sometimes we regret. And I wonder if that couple is thinking that.
Spending that kind of money to hang with Jim Hayes. You're in rare form today, Al, I got to tell you.
I'm trying to avoid watching the game. It's not going the way we thought it would be going.
0-2 pitch. The fly ball out to center. Colby there under it. Makes the catch. One away, and it brings in Maben.
Bob and Peggy McMillan are here from Walnut Ridge, Arkansas. And they want to say hello to the Cardinals' #1 fan in Lawrence County, Bob's aunt, Pansy Medlock. Pansy is 98 years young and watches every Cardinal game. She's a resident of the Lawrence Hall Nursing Home. And even when the Cardinals are on the West Coast, she has the nursing staff make sure she's awake. Make sure she's awake. And if she does fall asleep, they're ordered to wake her up.
Maben struck out back in the first. Some unique qualities of that dog.
Oh, everything's huge.
One ball, 1 strike.
Many times we're looking for Pinheiro to get those ground balls. That's what we're waiting for.
6-4-3 on the double play. West on this gorgeous afternoon from Busch is presented by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By the Casino Queen Hotel and Casino, home of the loosest slots, and brought to you by Taco Bell's new Volcano menu. It's seriously spicy. And the top of the lineup for St. Louis, bottom of the third, it's 4-0 Marlins. Cardinals have been out hit 8-3, and one of the 3 hits off the bat of Schumacher, a base hit to the opposite field.
And his average is over 300 now at 301. He had 300 last season, but to do it changing positions, and his move from the outfield to second base has been miraculous, but then to maintain the batting average at 300, special.
And a ground ball hit to second. Schumacher retired, and it brings in Ricky Ankiel. Guys upstairs having some fun. You can join in blogging during today's game, and you can read the blog and chat with us at foxsports.com. It's /Midwest. And that's Nick R. writing in. I know Pinero's had a nice season, but once the playoffs start, would you want to throw Smoltz as your number 3, given his playoff track record? Very good question, but you know, Smoltz, still, I guess, is he a work in progress, Al?
Yeah, I mean, it is a great question, and it's yet to be determined, but I just don't think that you can bypass what Pinero's done all season. As John Smoltz, remember, you know, he's a released player, 42, coming off his shoulder surgery. He'll have an important role with his ball club. But I don't think you could. I think you would mess with the psyche of Pinheiro by doing something like that. But that's what Tony and Dave Duncan get paid for.
And Ankiel, they're trying to go up the ladder there. You can see a couple times, 2-2.
You know, Dan, I really think that Franklin will iron himself out, and I think you really kind of have to throw away his last bad outing on Saturday. And I think, you know, because he needed rest, but he ended up getting 6 days of rest. That's too much. Too many days for a closer. And so I just throw that one away and see if you can get him back on a regular routine, see if he can't settle in. But I think you make a better case for Smoltz replacing Franklin if you get into a panic situation.
And that would be, I mean, that's far stretching to me. I mean, he's gotten you to this point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, if he continues the rest of this month, I think it makes more sense to me and then have Franklin hopefully feel more comfortable setting up Smoltz. But what we really want is Franklin to be fine.
And Pujols looks at a ball. He singled first time up. It is a very good question, though, because Smoltz has arguably the best postseason resume of anybody that's played this game.
And Smoltz is not a selfish individual. You know, I mean, he'll do anything to help this ball club. But if he was a selfish individual, he'll say that he wants 5 more wins to win 20, to be the all-time winner, and distance himself a little bit from Pettit. And, you know, 20 wins in postseason. But obviously he's not going to get 5 wins even if he was in this rotation.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Holiday on deck. Talked with Mitchell Boggs today about Smoltz, and he grew up cheering for the Atlanta Braves. That was his team that he grew up for, rooting for, and he said he saw the Cardinals in '96 in that Game 7 meltdown by Donovan Osborne. He was there. He was also there when Smoltz and the Braves won the World Series, and he said now it's just a surreal experience to be around John Smoltz.
And you know, you talk about the Braves who came from a 3-1 deficit, second hit for Pujols, and you know what really fired up the Braves? And remember, they outscored the last 3 games of that series. They outscored the Cardinals something like 30-something to 3. As you see our Hot Shots Exmo cam, and the 98-mile-an-hour fastball pulled through the left side is Dennis Eckersley getting the save, the final out, to take a 3-1 lead and pumping his fist. That upset the Braves to the point that they said, we don't want to see that anymore, and so the Cardinals aren't going to win anymore, and they didn't.
2 outs, runner at first. Matt Holliday, 4-0 Florida. Outfield very deep. Boyd Maven at center. Noticed how deep he has played, and Holliday has seen a steady diet of those little breaking balls and sliders that start out in that middle outer half and then finish out of the zone. He's been chasing that pitch.
Yeah, that's a slider he's chasing there, and but for whatever reason, and he's hit extremely well in this ballpark as a Rocky and now as a Cardinal. But Holliday's had a rough series. He's 2 for 10 in this series, 5 for 22 on the homestand, but we haven't seen him swing the bat like this since he's been here.
Here's the 0-1. Talking with Mitchell Boggs, I said, well, what's it been like being around Smoltz? And he said he's been very helpful. He said the guy that's been unbelievable, though, Chris Carpenter. And you might remember last night just how well Boggs pitched out of the bullpen. He said they've gotten me to really slow down my windup and my approach to the plate to where I'm now doing repeatable mechanics, where when I'm very quick. He said I get out of whack, and Carpenter was the one that really told him slow things down to have that repeatable motion to the plate.
It's a phrase we never used to say, repeatable delivery, but it's so true. You know, it's just used to come natural. You know, a guy who had his natural swing, didn't have to tinker with it too much. You know, pitchers just knew they got on the mound, they knew they could throw strikes, they could repeat their release point. And for whatever reason, that's tough for guys to do now.
2 balls, 1 strike. Short lead at first by Pujols. Holliday the other way with a base hit. Albert around second. And on his way to third. I think he may have surprised Cody Ross with that.
I think he deked him because he really wasn't running full speed to the second base bag, and then kind of turned it on right afterwards as it's a breaking ball. But watch Albert kind of here. He's kind of running there, but slowed up, and then he turns it on. And Ross put his head down when he went to field the ball, and by the time he looked up and saw that Albert was on his way, he did not anticipate well enough to where he could recover and make even a throw.
The other thing that Mitchell Boggs was telling me, and of course he's from the state of Georgia, he said the older fans are really excited that he's playing for the Cardinals because of the reach of KMOX all those years. He said his grandparents grew up Cardinal fans.
Well, they're also at one time the Cardinals had a AAA affiliate in Atlanta.
He was telling me that his grandparents used to listen to all the games. So they were Cardinal fans, and obviously he's very, very excited to be here in St. Louis.
I'm sure his grandparents excited for him also.
1-0 pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. Rasmus fly to right, first time up.
Even though there's a 4-0 Cardinal lead and you got a couple guys on, but 2 outs for Kobe, you kind of get the feeling this is only going to be a 5-inning outing for Johnson. Told me when he kind of has these type of innings, they really kind of watch him. They're really concerned. He quickly recovered from Tommy John surgery. 11 months pitching last year, and he's already got career highs in innings.
Rasmus on 3-0. Hits it in the air, out to left, and the threat is through for the Cardinals, and we head to the 4th. And it's 4-0 as we welcome you back. Josh Johnson leads it off. Johnson singled off the glove of Joe Thurston, scored a run in the 2nd inning. It's 3 runs in the first by Florida, 1 in the 2nd.
And you kind of touched on it at the end of Kobe's at bat, where you said swings at the 3-0 pitch and pops it up. You know, today they give a lot of leeway, and they try never to take the bat out of players' hands. But that's not a good at bat. When you're 3-0, you know, you're looking for a pitch to drive. If you pop it up like that, it wasn't a pitch to drive.
Diving stop by Pujols. Over the cover, Pinheiro takes a hit away from Johnson. The other aspect of what you're talking about, you're down 4 runs too, Al.
Right, you're down 4 runs, but Albert playing well. Made some early errors, kind of had the error totals creeped up to 11 now, but boy, we know he has more range than any first baseman in the National League. Plays extremely aggressive, so you will make some errors, but probably won't get the Gold Glove this year, but he's always a contender.
Here's Coghlan. Now with Derek Lee healthy for the Cubs. Got to figure that he'd be in that conversation. A lot of this is done on reputation, too.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah, another one. And as crazy as it sounds, even though it's a defensive award, people always talk about the offensive players getting the Gold Glove.
And you don't blame the fans or don't blame the media, because that award is voted on by the manager and coaches.
Here's a little bouncer up the middle, backhanded by Schumacher, throws off balance and takes a hit away from Coughlin. Nicely done by Skip.
And there's one of those times where they say, oh, you can just stick a sore-armed or a weak-armed player out at second base. Well, in plays like this, you better have a strong arm. And that's where Schumacher, with the outfield arm, really does an excellent job. And right there on the money for Albert. Boy, just think about plays like that in spring training. We were worried that he was going to get Albert killed, making a bad throw, throwing into the runner. But he has really progressed as a second baseman.
Nick Johnson is strike at the knees. Even to the point that Tony La Russa keeps Schumacher in the game late.
We haven't seen that move from second base to the outfield late in the game for a long time.
Gets Johnson to reach here. A quick inning for Pinheiro. It's 3 ground ball outs. Molina leads it off when we come back. Saturday, and many video providers in our Cardinals viewing area will offer this game on pay-per-view, $29.95. So don't miss the action. We had a great game last weekend with Bowling Green. The Tigers pulled it out late. Over 65,000 from Perot. And you can access your digital program guide or call your pay-per-view provider to order. A lot of folks tell me that they saw that game. That's great to hear.
And you'll be working the game?
Yeah, $29.95, and that's Furman and Mizzou this week, and that's a 1 o'clock kickoff.
Young lady will be a fixture right here, taking in her first Cardinals game. I don't know, but Jim Hayes, I think, was supposed to bring his son to the game. I don't know if that happened. He told me earlier in the week. It'll be his son Tyler's first game.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. You know, Twins in the top of the 8th lead the Indians 7-2.
You know, Jim Hayes is a father, you know.
Well, if he has a son, yes, he is a father. In the 2-1 pitch, now 2-2.
Well, we always discuss with Jim that we think he's the only father in the world.
Everything stops when it comes to Tyler when you talk to Jim. As it should be.
Excuse me, it's Friday. Tyler is coming.
And that pitch is in the dirt, 3-2. Los Angeles and Pittsburgh just underway. Some day baseball. San Francisco is to now pulled within 2.5 of
That's something.
Colorado. Those two teams will square off again today. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Molina. Shoots it foul and out of play. Molina here, and then Thurston and Lugo. Little bouncer up the middle and a base hit. Well, you may have had some great seats in the ballpark, but have you seen the view from the dugout? You can experience it by taking a tour of Busch Stadium. That's right. Tours normally occur daily except on afternoon games like this afternoon. And for more information, the number to call is 345-9565. Again, 345-9565, or visit stocardinals.com. They take you upstairs into the broadcast booth. Down in the dugout, you walk behind the scenes. Take advantage of the tours. Here's Thurston. He is single today, 1 for 1. Big gap in the right center. Off of Johnson, and he'll go to first as that takes the hit away from Joe Thurston. Just a rocket off his bat. I'm going to check to make sure that Johnson is okay.
Looked like it had to hit body, and it's a big body to hit. Or did he get that? Couldn't tell if he got the back of his calf. I guess looked like on the leggings, but he's a big guy. I'm sure he's tough, and he says he's okay. Thurston gets robbed as that ball was going to center field. We're going to catch it up the middle. But Johnson caught it with his body and then makes the play.
In the air out to center. Maven back. And on the track, he'll make the catch, and Molina not tagging up. He's back to second.
Yeah, should have been on third base. This Maven plays so deep that it really only took about 2 steps to get back there. And Yachty playing halfway. Then it was too late to tag up.
Joel Pinheiro with a runner at second base and 2 down.
Now with the pitcher's spot up, Maven moves in to where most center fielders play big power hitters. You see him up there on the cutout of the arch on the grass, how they mow that in there. But that's about where they play real big power hitters that deep.
Ground ball hit to third. And the Cardinals have stranded 6 this afternoon. We've played 4. And it's 4-0 Florida. game of the week. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals. And that'll be at 3 Central from Busch Stadium, the Fox Saturday baseball game of the week. And the Cardinals with an 8.5 game lead in the Central.
7 games on the loss column.
They could put this thing on a reach with a successful weekend here at Busch. Hanley Ramirez will lead it off as we start play here in the 5th. Ramirez has been intentionally walked, and he also singled and scored in the 1st. He's still sitting on 99 RBIs this year. Ramirez, Cantu, and Ugla 3, 4, and 5. The Cardinals since July 1st 33 and 8. Neither Pinheiro, Carpenter, or Wainwright are on the mound.
That's kind of taken a hit last time through the order.
Wainwright the loss last night. Carpenter roughed up. Really just 1 inning against the Braves on Sunday.
Pinheiro got the loss on Friday night. So, I mean, there's 3 of those 8 in their last time through.
1-2 the count. Got him to reach for it. Ground out to Schumacher, and all of a sudden looks like Pinheiro's starting to settle in.
It's usually the case, but it just normally doesn't take this long.
Tickets for possible home games in the Division Series and National League Championship Series will go on sale next Wednesday. And fans who wish to purchase those tickets must go online first to STLCardinals.com to register for the chance to purchase. Registration runs to through today and also all the way to Friday the 18th. So visit STLCardinals.com to register for those playoff seats.
Noel's retired 6 in a row, and the last 5 have all been ground ball outs.
0-1 pitch to Cantu. Cantu is single and also has a sac fly. 3 for 10 in the series. You know, the defense last inning helped out Pinheiro on a fine play by Pujols. Also a good play ranging to his right by Schumacher's. They got the ground balls and got the out. So that 6-4-3 double play from Maben. Tapped out in front of the plate. Molina fires to first. He wanted to keep that fair. He shows off the arm.
Well, Molina has such great confidence in his throwing arm. Watch this ball right here. Picks it up. It's still on the line. So good call, and just guns him out. But you could tell most catchers would have let that ball try to roll foul, but Molina with such confidence in getting to the ball and knowing that if it's in his arm and he's got that arm cocked and ready to throw, it's going to be an out.
The third base coach of the Marlins talking it over with the third base umpire on that play as if to say that's a foul ball, but it was fair by maybe a half an inch.
We still had some of the seams still resting in the chalk line, and it really doesn't matter to Bo Porter talking to the third base umpire because it's, you see it right there, still touching. It almost looked like it started to roll back into the playing surface. So good play by Molina.
But you're exactly right, Al. I mean, that's a play that just about every catcher in the league would let roll foul. Either they feel they can't make that play or just out of instinct just to let it roll foul. But Molina heads up play knowing that with his arm he could make up the difference. I would imagine he's on his way to a second consecutive Gold Glove.
I don't think there's any way he will be denied.
Recent article in the National Magazine, they quoted the players in the league, and they all, both American and National League catchers, some of the best in the game, all of them said Molina's the best.
It kind of helps that there's 3 of them in the big leagues, and they're all catchers. But when you're talking about the best defensively, there's no question it's Yadier.
He was an infielder growing up. His dad was a former infielder and very much one of the respected baseball men in Puerto Rico. That's outside.
Baker started the first game, got a hit in that one. Molina last night. And
2-2. Pinheiro. So makes the play easily. And it's 4-0 midway through 5. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Top of the lineup for the Cardinals. You saw that strikeout of Holiday. Johnson today has struck out 3. Cardinals have 6 hits, but they've been out hit 9-6, and they trail 4-0. And Schumacher takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Been tough, and you don't know how deep he's going to go in this game, but their bullpen's been solid too in this series. Even if he pitches another scoreless inning, they may still
base hit.
They may still not take him out of this ball game, as they're don't want him to really, now that it's kind of a catch-22. There you see good piece of hitting again, and Schumacher just goes to left field, but they're kind of a little bit concerned about the health of Josh Johnson. And some people say, well, even get to postseason, who's going to pitch?
Schumacher now is at 300. 2 hits this afternoon. Here's Rick Ankiel. Ankiel has struck out twice.
I think Tony La Russa just trying to see if he can't get Ankiel jump start. Otherwise, he kind of likes him as a pinch hitter on a postseason roster.
Albert Pujols on deck. One pitch to Ankiel. Here it comes. Breaks his bat. Watch out. That's into the seats, and Ankiel retired. Looks like everybody's okay down there. And the young lady has got the bat and indicates that she's okay. This is a broken bat. Look at that.
You see how he gets just sawed off inside, tried to get his hands through, but just hits him right there. The barrel goes flying about 20 rows deep into the stands, and that's getting in your kitchen.
Ankiel is 0 for 3. Here's Pujols, who is twice singled. First pitch to Albert. And a swing and a miss. Pujols sitting on those 47 home runs. He's driven in 126. And with the 2 hits today, his average has jumped up to 334.
I know the
popped up. Ramirez calling for it. The shortstop makes a basket catch.
He didn't want to do that, but he holds on to it as the ball started eluding him a little bit. Albert and Fielder is tied for the top spot in the National League with the 126 RBIs.
Holiday 1 for 2 with a base hit to right.
This time he got a breaking ball that he kind of recognized at the last second and pushed it through the right side for the base hit. Let's see if he can't come up with a big extra base hit.
And he pops it up. Foul territory. And the catch is made as Cantu made the catch. And the catcher took it in the face, it looked like there. That's Baker.
Right around the eye.
It was Baker, I guess, who caught it. Yes, it was.
Yeah. So he got the glove in the face.
Four unique shows on the Big Ten Football 4-Pack, and their experts bring you game plan breakdowns, interviews, and analysis you won't find anywhere else. It's Monday through Friday, 10 Eastern, only on the Big Ten Network, the only cure for gridiron deficiency. Pinheiro to start play here in the 6th. The Ross looks at a ball. Cody Ross has an RBI single and also flied out to center. 3 for 10 in this series against the Cardinals. It's Ross, Maben, and then Johnson. You see the eye black for Cody Ross, who made a nice running play in right field early on to take an extra base hit away from Pinheiro and an RBI. That's a base hit to right field. 2-hit day for Ross. And it brings in Maben. Maben today has struck out and also grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. Well, right now, Freddie Gonzalez, as you see the pitch count at 85, does not have anybody getting loose in the bullpen, and Johnson's spot is due up next. A lefty is getting loose for the Cardinals.
Reyes.
Denny's Reyes starting to throw.
And Dave Duncan out to talk to Pinheiro, who's allowed 10 hits. Tony La Russa, just wanted to see some offense and wanted to see some more ground balls from the starter. That's Joel's wife right there. I believe the oldest, and then I think they got a couple twins. Not a couple, but a pair of twins. Not a pair, a set of twins.
There you go, Al.
Thank you, partner.
No problem.
I'll leave all those complicated things for you.
And that's scary. Want to know the count here on Cameron Maben following the single by Ross, and Pinheiro has allowed 10 base hits. And a foul tip, strike one. He's had enough.
I think he's headed to the truck. We don't thank our crew here enough for the great job they do in covering baseball, and in our minds, the best in the business. James always helping out Tony. He's looking for a little bit of advice. Steve over there, but of course, Dan just gave me a disclaimer as Maben strikes out. Is our great crew here, and then there's Tim up here that helps us in the booth, sorta.
There's Jerry and the rest of the crew, Mike and Tony La Russa has seen enough. So Pinheiro will be done through his work today, pitching into the 6th. And the Cardinals trailing by the score of 4-0. This is our Chevy call to the bullpen. Denny's Reyes coming in. Schnooks this date in history. The Cardinals scored 12 times in the third inning, establishing a new franchise record, and they go on to beat the Phillies 23-3. Dennis Reyes, new pitcher for St. Louis, appearance number 69, and opponent's inning 237 against him. Runner at first and one out. Cardinals trailing 4-0.
Reyes' career high in appearances was set last year with Minnesota at 75, and he leads the staff in appearances, so I think he will probably surpass that this year.
It gives you an idea of how Tony La Russa is approaching with the playoffs, approaching his pitching staff with the playoffs coming up, as Pinheiro is out of this game.
Well, obviously it wasn't the start that Tony was looking for, and you know, right now you just don't want to push some of these guys. They're almost a little closer over at first, but kind of that fine line, keep them very competitive, keep them sharp, but make them be rested.
Johnson with a base hit and a run scored in the second. The fourth run for the Marlins. They got 3 in the first, and then he was robbed by Pujols in the fourth. That last pitch looked to be pretty good there by the lefty, but did not get the call. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, runner at first. That will get your attention.
Yeah, up and in, and you're scoring around the bunt. You can see kind of the oddity. He's a right-handed pitcher, but bats left-handed. So they try to frown upon this as you see the technique, and he knows how to get out of the way. But you can see his pitching elbow is exposed, so he does have a pad on it.
Gets the bunt down, and Molina will go to first base with Schumacher covering. So 2-4 on the sacrifice. And there's 2 outs. Coughlin today with a base hit. That was in the second inning, and twice he has grounded out to Schumacher.
They'll get somebody up in the bullpen, but you do have the 2 outs and a pair of left-handers batters that are coming up. But if someone were to reach base, I'm sure that phone in the bullpen is rung or will ring, and just say, okay, if he gets a base runner here, get so and so up. Already trailing by 4. You can't afford to give up any more.
Come your way on Friday at 6:30 with the pregame show here on Fox Sports Midwest. Don't forget about the pay-per-view. Saturday, Mizzou football, Fox Sports Midwest, our pay-per-view. 1 o'clock kickoff. 1-0 pitch. That's hit out of play. And a great play made by a fan.
And backhand, bare hand.
Coughlin against the lefties at 248. Righties a much different story, 322. 1-1 pitch. And Thurston comes up with a great play. He rubs him. Takes the hit and RBI away. That sends us to the bottom of the 6th. Next is brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. The new third-pound Angus burgers are here. Try one for yourself today, only at McDonald's. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Powerful, lightweight, dependable, versatile. Yard care solutions start at steeldealers.com. And so here we go at the bottom of the sixth, and Colby Rasmus will lead it off. 4-0. The Cardinals trail.
Rasmus 0 for 2, a couple flyouts.
Johnson made his major league debut in 2005, had that surgery. Tommy John, as it's popped up. Push Bash Fridays feature prizes, live music, and a Cardinal player. Or in this case, players. Two former players will be there. Mike Matheny and John Mabry, 5:30 to 6:30 in the Ford Plaza this Friday night. First 200 people in line will be guaranteed to get autographs. For more information and tickets, visit STLCardinals.com. And strike to Molina. How about Johnson today? He's been terrific.
Well, we knew he was a good one, and he's trying to pick up his 15th win. The ERA now is under 3. Record 14-4.
Johnson began that 2005 season in the bullpen and then was moved to the starting rotation. I think at one point they had Scott Olson, Anibal Sanchez, and Ricky Nolasco, all with Johnson in that rotation.
You know, he then recovered in 11 months from the Tommy John surgery.
Left that one over the middle of the plate. It's a base hit out to left center field. And Molina is thinking too as that goes all the way to the track. It's a double and his second hit of the afternoon. You wonder if that will get the Marlins bullpen up and start throwing.
Set up outside, totally misses location on the inner part of the plate, plugs the gap out there and all the way to the Bud Light sign. He cruises in with the leadoff double.
Thurston, the hot corner. This is why. Good play here.
Look at that spin on that ball. So it's going to be a little tricky right there, but equal to the task. Knocks it down, picks it up his bare hand, doesn't waste any momentum, and throws him out at first.
One out runner at second base. And Thurston tied up on that pitch for a strike.
Slider coming in on the left-handed batter. It's one of the glaring signs recently that Cardinals' inefficiency or lack of anything with runners in scoring position.
Cardinals have stranded 7 today. Trying to avoid losing their second straight series. Swept by Atlanta over the weekend. And trailing here in this game 3 of this series, 4-0.
Righty and a lefty beginning to throw in the bullpen. Lefty is Pinto. And Kiko Calero is the right-hander. Former Cardinal.
We always liked Kiko, didn't we?
Sure did.
0-2 pitch to Thurston. One thing about Calero, he always had that very good slider and a swing and miss slider.
Yeah, swing and miss slider that got your attention. And I talked to Kiko the other day because there was a report earlier this week that the Phoenix police had pulled over an individual, just kind of a low tire, and found that he had a false Kiko Calero driver's license and Social Security card. And so the gentleman he's in jail right now and Kiko said he lost his driver's license about 3 or 4 years ago, and that because of that he's got new papers. And they called him up and said, "Where are you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm in New York playing with the Marlins." He goes, "Okay, thank you very much." And that guy is promptly arrested.
2 outs, runner at second after the strikeout, number 4 for Johnson today. Lugo twice his fly to deep center. I mentioned the arch and the cut in the grass. I was talking with the folks of the grounds crew today, and it looks like they will keep that arch next season. Rolling slowly and a foul ball. Bill Findlay and his crew, and Bill was saying that it really isn't all that hard to do those designs in the grass. And they had the old courthouse for the All-Star game, but they've gotten a lot of positive feedback on having the arch out there.
Yeah, I personally like it.
They said really it's not that big a deal, so we're going to keep it.
When they put in the old courthouse right behind the outfield, beginning of the outfield grass right behind second base, I mean, that was awesome for the All-Star game. There's the old courthouse.
0-2 the count here on Lugo. There's something even more unique here at the ballpark, and I know you want to make that fan experience as good as it can be. The Cardinals do a wonderful job with that. We consider this to be one of the better stops, obviously, for us. I mean, but you ought to talk to the opposing players and broadcasters when they come into St. Louis. They always will tell you this is one of their favorite places to come because the crowds are so lively.
Sure, the environment.
Baseball city.
It's downtown. There's something right around. There's activities going on, but it's the atmosphere inside the ballpark. Fan friendly, clean, good baseball. And a club like the Florida Marlins just absolutely loves to come to this environment because they get a taste of what real baseball is about and see the crowds and know that they're very fair for both sides.
1-2 pitch. Khalil Green has moved to the on-deck circle. See game 2 in their last series, 38,000 against Washington. The other two, just over 15. Look at that difference in the series, and we've got close to 40,000 here today. Ground ball, left side, base hit. They'll wave in Molina. Throw to the plate, offline. Yadier scores, and Lugo gets the Cardinals on the board.
Base hit RBI. Lugo takes the second base on the throw. His 18th RBI. Bounce it through on the left side. The 2 outs. Molina gets that little extra run, and then the throw's offline, allowing him to score. And now Khalil Green is going to pinch hit. And Mark Wiley, the Marlins pitching coach, out for a visit.
And while we have the chance, let's get our trivia question done. Aflac trivia question. Since 1990, how many times has a Cardinal catcher won a Gold Glove? Pagnazzi's done it. Molina's done it.
Matheny, right?
Matheny's done it. There's your 3, and it adds up to 7.
There'll be many more. Maybe in this decade, well, not in this decade, but I guess the 20-year period, we probably will end up with we'll get at least 8. Yeah, I guess we can only get 8, right? We'll go into the next 21st year, we'd have 9.
Pitch in 97 on our gun. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs and a runner at second. Two and 1. A pitch count at 96 for Josh Johnson.
I was told before the game that even if he was being in the 80s, look for him to be pulled after 5 innings or something, just because of. But now maybe
Green hits it down the right field line. Ross is over and out of play.
And because the Giants, with their victories, knocked off a couple games in the wild card, and they might feel like they're a little bit closer, but they still have to leapfrog over a couple teams.
A souvenir for that youngster. Thanks to Cody Ross.
Years ago, those balls like that would be thrown back in and kept in play. Now the players, it's acceptable to take those balls and give them to the fans. Nice gesture.
2-2 the count on Green. Foul back. Brad Thompson continues to get warm in the Cardinal bullpen. Gentleman there in the yellow caught that foul ball.
Did you ever catch a foul ball?
Yes, once. And a strikeout of Green on the slider, and Johnson picks up his 5th of the day. Sends us to the 7th, 4-1. Top of the 7th, and the Marlins and Cardinals, didn't have a heck of a job defensively in this game. We've seen some gems out there. That was the Pujols play to Rob Johnson. Then right after that, Schumacher made a fine play. Molina stopped the ball from rolling foul and fired it to first, and the catch made by Baker, their catcher. So top of the 7th, and it's 4-1.
Chevy called to the bullpen, brings in Brad Thompson. He pitched on Sunday, 3 innings of work, 2-6 record, most of that when he was in the starting rotation. ERA at 5, and this is his 29th game.
Thompson gets Johnson, and the first pitch is a strike. Johnson, Ramirez, and Cantu. The Marlins scored 3 in the first, 1 in the second. Cardinals have come back with 1 in the bottom of the 6th. 4-1 here in St. Louis.
Nick Johnson, one of those, first baseman or corner position infielder that really doesn't hit a lot of power. 300 average, high on base percentage.
He is even sacrificed today. Here's a ground ball over to get it. Schumacher still with time, covering Thompson.
An example of the strong throwing arm, even the bobble, and he might have been screened a little bit by Pujols, or assuming Pujols is going as he ranges so far to his right, but recovers quick enough time to throw out Nick Johnson.
And the Ramirez, the hitter. Singleton scored in the first. Intentionally walked in the second, is also grounded out.
Always like to see Thompson get ground balls. If he does that, he's usually very effective.
There's your ground ball. Backing up Thurston. Nice play. Long throw high to Pujols, but still out. Thurston's done a nice job today over there. Friday, October 2nd, Ozzie Smith bobblehead night at Busch Stadium. 25,000 fans take home the bobblehead featuring Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. Courtesy of Coca-Cola. For tickets, visit STLCardinals.com. Speaking of Joe Thurston, that was his idol growing up, Ozzie Smith, as he grew up in California. And he said Ozzie pulled him aside not too long ago and said, let's go have lunch. And he was just floored.
Yep.
So those two will get together this offseason, he said.
Pinto continuing to throw in the Marlins bullpen, so you would assume he's going to come into this game.
Oh, 0-2 with 2 outs. Jorge Cantu, the hitter. There's the breaking ball. Froze him, and Cantu strikes out. Good work by Thompson on just 8 pitches. And the Cubs Friday night at 6:30. This place will be packed, and excitement, no doubt, will come your way at 6:30 on Friday night. The Cardinals and the Cubs. And the lefty is to the ball game, and it's Reniel Pinto, turned from 15-day disabled list back on June 19th. And a couple of elbow issues this year. Second time we've seen him in this series. Last year, career highs in appearances with 67, so he'll match that. And he's closing in on his innings pitched mark last year, which was 64 2/3. Mark DeRosa will be the pinch hitter.
Pinto's been very capable, and he can times can be a strikeout type pitcher.
And Tony La Russa pulling all the strings here. DeRosa leads it off. Then you've got Ryan Ludwig on deck. A couple of big guns to start the bottom of the 7th. We have not heard a peep from DeRosa and him complaining at all about his wrist.
No, not at all. I specifically asked him yesterday, and he just said, it's fine. It's fine, and kind of leave it at that. But reading between the lines, it's bothering him, but no excuses. No, we'll get it taken care of the off season. Just wanting to contribute.
2-2, 21 home runs this year. He's driven in 70.
Have that wrist taken care of in the off season with surgery, but sometimes in the back of your mind you're kind of hesitant to pull the trigger, and other times when you swing and miss is usually when you'll feel the effects.
And he'll ground out here to second. So the first man retired, and it brings in Ludwig. It's Looper and Harden tonight, if you're curious, with Milwaukee and Chicago. Looper 12-6. Harden is 9-8. One out, nobody on for Ryan Ludwig. 4-1 Florida. Tisha Peel is 19. Happy birthday to Tisha. And I know Tisha's brother quite well, who is just recently turned 12. Brother Tim. And that pitch is taken at the knees for a strike. So if I missed it, happy birthday to Tim, who just turned 12. And Tisha is 19. Big Cardinal fans. Here's a 2-1. Cardinals need base runners, getting late. 3 balls and a strike, 1 out here in the 7th, trailing by 3 runs.
That's it. You got to get base runners. They're in their bullpen now.
And a walk to Ludwig.
Pico Valero continues to throw, and we'll see if he comes in. And here comes the pitching change. So Pinto started this inning. You got the pinch hitter DeRosa to ground out, then the walk to Ludwig, and Kiko will come in to face Albert. So the Cardinals still trail 4-1, but they got their chance right here in the bottom of the 7th. authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Kiko Calero will take over his 62nd appearance. He spent a time on the disabled list. He's made 25 appearances since returning, and he owns the 8th lowest average against in the National League, just 189. He's got an ERA under 2 since his return. And he was like one of our favorites. As you said, Dan, we had a very good slider that just really baffled a lot of hitters. And we say that because it often produced a swing and miss.
43,020 today. Runner at first, Ludwig. First to Albert. He's really a deceptive pitcher out there as well, with his delivery and how he came home to the plate.
He was part of the Mulder deal as he left the Cardinals and began 2008 on the disabled list with a torn rotator cuff.
And a 1-0 pitch to Pujols. Rolls over on it, slowly hit to third. Only play to go to first. And there's 2 outs. Holiday 1 for 3 today with a single, a strikeout. He's also popped out to the catcher.
Slider there. It's a lot of times you see other guys pitch, throw their slider be right around 80, 85, 86. His is like 80, 81. Another reason why it's really down in velocity. Big differential from his fastball. If he ever throws the hard one.
And that slider has been the pitch. It's hitting Holiday out lately.
Holiday is just too good of a hitter, and he's high average hitter that, you know, doesn't get often fooled, or won't be fooled for a long period of time. There's one right there, as it was, instead of being down and away, it was really on the inner part of the plate, but he didn't pull the trigger.
2 balls and a strike with 2 outs and a runner at second base.
And Meyer, a lefty, still working in the bullpen, so could be Kiko's last batter, Kiko Calero's last hitter.
Watching how Ludwig is taking his lead from second. He'll get the signs from Oquendo and actually turns his back to Jose as he takes his lead.
Well, he's looking for the second baseman. Kendo's going to tell him where the shortstop is. And shortstop really playing in the hole, not paying any attention to Ludwig. So the only guy that's even close to the second base bag is the second baseman, and he can see him.
2-2. Full count on Holiday. It's about due to launch one. What are you looking for here? If you're Holiday, you've got first base open, probably a breaking ball of some sort.
Well, yeah, it's you're going to see a slider, but it's kind of like, well, I'm not throwing for strikes, and if I don't throw for a strike, I'm out of this game. So, but you still got to go with your best pitch, and that's the slider. And he threw a fastball.
And Holiday was thinking what we were thinking, slider. Strikeout of Holiday, and it's 4-1. Let's go pitch by pitch. The at bat to Holiday, and you're going to see breaking ball after breaking ball here. The slider from Pico Calero, pitch by pitch, brought to you by Chevrolet. Now with 2 strikes. After that pitch and trying to protect the plates. And on the 3-2, he gets the fastball. So Holiday strikes out. DeRosa stays in the game at third, Ludwig in right, and Thurston moves to second base. Good work the first time through for Brad Thompson. Took 8 pitches to get the 3 outs.
And that's what you pump strikes.
Ugla rips it past DeRosa and down into the corner. Extra bases here. Dan Ugla with a leadoff double. He's had a big day. A couple of base hits and a run scored.
See, the ball just started. Instead of sinking, it kind of slid in the strike zone, and see how close DeRosa to making the catch. So it's down in the corner for the double.
And it brings in John Baker. Pair of singles and an RBI. He's 2 for 3. And Baker now with 48 driven in.
I'm the luxury to have that left-handed hitting catcher.
And a productive out there by Baker. Advancing on the play, Ugla from second to third.
It's a big out and bigger run over at third base. Down by 3.
You see Pujols looking into the dugout to see how Tony wants to play this. The infield will be in.
Try to do everything you can. Now, Thompson not a strikeout pitcher, but this is time where he could use a pop-up. And then if he gets 2 strikes, put him away via the punch out.
Cody Ross on the afternoon, a couple of singles and an RBI. 4-1 Florida. They got 3 runs in the first, another in the second. The Cardinals scored their lone run in the bottom of the 6th. Good breaking ball. That breaking ball's been a little bit sharper here today.
Yes, and that's a pitch that he's going to need. So he froze him, had his knees buckling there a little bit. We haven't seen a lot of squeeze plays, have we?
No. One ball, 1 strike. Remember the one year with Tony La Russa, it seemed like any time runner was at third, under 2 outs, very good potential of a squeeze.
And just by doing that 1 year, you establish it in the mind of everybody else. And it's so difficult, the defense. You don't even have to make a great bunt, just get it down, and it's tough to execute or get that runner at the plate.
There's so many things though that have to go right to make it happen properly. The hitter can't show it early, runner can't break from third early, all the little things that go into that play. 2-1. Don't need it now. RBI base hit to make it 5-1. Ross's second run driven in. He now has 87 RBIs.
Ball was hit so hard that doubtful if Lugo's playing back, he makes his play at all. And that you play in for the percentages. And does that surprise you that he has 87 RBIs?
Yes,
it
very much.
Me too. 3 hits here tonight. This afternoon, over 275.
Maben has grounded into a double play, 6-4-3, and a pair of strikeouts. And that scoots away from Pujols. And now you don't think about the double play.
And, yeah, that's an error on Albert. Catchable ball. Watch Albert here. E1. Look at the throw. That's an error on Albert. There's no way that's an E1.
So runner at second base. Thompson charged with the air.
That should be changed.
See where Maven has seen a lot of breaking balls here, trying to adjust to this level. Average at 222 with his 0 for 3. Here's a ground ball. Get Maven by step. Minnesota has held on for their win over Cleveland. It's a 7-3 final. Ross Glode would be the pinch hitter. Calero 2/3 of an inning, 1 strikeout. Runner at second base. And Glode as a pinch hitter is 1 for 1 in the series. They're all waiting. Maybe to get that baseball from Pujols as he comes off.
Off the field and flips the ball to the kids there, and they're waiting for it. Tell Mr. Usher said wait till the final out. They're doing a good job trying to duck down.
2-0 the count. Cardinals will have Rasmus, Molina, and Thurston coming up. Good pitch there, a little sinking action, 2-1. Bruce Thompson has played that valuable role for the Cardinals this year. At times a spot starter, of course a reliever for Tony La Russa's club.
Leads the major leagues in pinch hits this season with 17.
Tough job too to be a pinch hitter at this level.
And over his career, he's a 289 batter in the pinch. 4 home runs, 44 for 152. He's figured it out, hasn't he?
He has. The 3-1 and a walk. And he brings in Coughlin. So a double, a single, a walk in this inning after an 8-pitch 7th inning for Thompson. The Marlins win 1-2-3. Runners at first and second.
Pinch runner now, Bonifacio. I feel like you get a little buzz going around this stadium, like what is happening to the Cardinals.
Yep. That's hit out to left center. Over to get it. Rasmus, 5-1 Florida, midway through 8. Next is brought to you by Budweiser, who thanks you for being a designated driver. By Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And lock in $1.49 a gallon for a year's worth of gas. Visit your St. Louis Hyundai dealers today. Turning into a long afternoon for the Cardinals. They trail 5-1 against Florida. They've been out hit 12-9, and a new pitcher is in. Dan Meyer, lefty for Florida. His 64th appearance. And he'll at least start this inning with the lefty, Colby Rasmus, due up.
And lefties are batting .244, righties .210. In his career as a starter, he was 0-6, ERA over 10 in 7 games. As a reliever, 2-1, 2 saves, and a .338 ERA in 75 appearances. Made his major league appearance back in September of '04 at New York.
Big Cardinal fan working late tonight and says she'll be watching the replay while she works, and that's Tracy Heron. Never misses the game live and also watches the replays. Tracy Heron.
Cardinals, 2 of the first 3 batters, and there you see how Rasmus has really struggled this year against lefties. Under 150, holding his own, .290 average against right-handers, but probably didn't see a whole lot of lefties in the minor leagues, and probably seen too many of them here in the big leagues.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Now, you know that's a dedicated Cardinal fan to be watching now and then working later tonight and watching the replay. So we appreciate Tracy, her support. Says that she's a big fan of yours. The 2-1 pitch. Ooh, that catches the corner. 2-2. Colby Rasmus is flied out to left, flied to right, and popped out to short 0 for 3.
And Franklin's warming up, and I think that's good, just to get him in this game.
At some point, you sit too much, don't you?
Right. Well, that's what I thought. You know, it's like his last time out, you know, he had the meltdown on blown save on Saturday. That was only his 4th this season, but it was back-to-back. And he rested. They wanted to rest him in the Milwaukee series when we were there in Wisconsin. But then he had the off day. He didn't pitch on Friday, so all of a sudden it became 6 days, and that's too long. So here, all of a sudden, he hasn't pitched since Sunday again. So get him in this game. You know, quit making him wait. It's not a safe situation, but he'll be ready for the next opportunity he gets.
2-2. And Colby smokes it into right center. And on the run, Maben makes the catch. And here's Yadier Molina with 1 out.
A couple hits today for Yadi, 2 for 3. Rounded out the 3rd, and first time up, single in the 4th, and a double, and scored in the 6th.
Been quiet the last couple of days here at the ballpark, hasn't it?
Oh, yes, it has been. Cardinals came out first game of this series, 17 hits. When they scored 14 runs, and you go, okay, their offensive problems are going to be over. And then they get shut down last night, lose 2-1, and here scored only 1 more run today.
Think about a day playoff game and see where the shadows will come into play. And sometimes here in St. Louis, you have that 3 o'clock start.
Well, and even a couple weeks, 3 more weeks, and the shadows will even be more pronounced.
That's pulled foul. We had the righty getting loose, and you've got the lefty Thurston on deck.
Brandon Donnelly He's still kind of leisurely tossing there, but Meyer's got the first guy. He's got the Molina right-handed, and then Thurston from the left side. So
you and I have a mutual friend, Paul Mano, and
yes,
he and
we
his
do.
lovely wife just had their second baby, Anthony Mano.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so congratulations to Paul Mano and his family. And the brand new Cardinal fan, Anthony Mano. That's pulled down the left field line and foul. With the great restaurants in town. Paul Mano's.
Absolutely. Mama's still cooking in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
We are fortunate about the restaurants, aren't we, this town?
Great places. 3-2 pitch. Molina's had a good day with his double and single. Scored the only run. One of Joe Torre's favorite places to go, Paul Mano's. Bob Gibson as well. Molina shoots it to right. That'll be caught. And there's 2 outs.
Oh, it's smooth out there, isn't he? Just times doesn't look like he's going to catch up to the ball, but what a play he made into the right field corner earlier this game.
There's a broken bat and it's hit to second. Cardinals go quietly here in the 8th. 5-1 as we head to the 9th.
After the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Rick Horton standing by. They'll take a look at Joel Pinero's afternoon. Rick will have one of his rants. We'll see what is upsetting Dr. Horton today. Plus, we'll have player reaction straight from the Cardinal clubhouse. It's all coming up after the game. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al as Ryan Franklin takes over.
Okay, thank you, Jim. 57th appearance for the Cardinal closer. Still a great ERA, 1.96. Opponents have only hit .206 against him this year. Ima Jean Gaines. They call her Mimi. Happy 50th birthday to Ima Jean Gaines. Mimi, happy birthday. Nick Johnson will be the hitter for Florida. Johnson, Ramirez, and Cantu for the Marlins.
What the Cardinals are looking for is one of those extremely efficient innings out of Franklin where so few pitches, no base runners, no walks. That's something that his base runners allowed has creeped up the last 8 or 9 outings, and he's walked almost as many as he did in the first 50 games in his last 7 or 8.
And that's the thing about Franklin. He's normally had that pinpoint control when rested and when ready to go. 1-1 pitch to Johnson. Slicing the other way. And a foul ball. Strike 2.
Can't forget the 5 good months he's had, and just a little mental hump to get over and ease everybody's fears. But right now, you got to be concerned about the offense. We constantly talk about it. We have not pitched as well recently, but we're not getting very much offense to boot.
2-2. Why baseball is such a funny game when you're rolling like the Cardinals were a week ago, nothing going wrong, and then all of a sudden you come back home and the Cardinals on the verge of dropping 5 of 6 at home.
You know, and sometimes, Dan, you just sit there and you go, well, we needed this. We were flying a little too high. We need to come back to earth, be grounded a little bit, and realize that it's not that easy. They want the batter's eye. They got the Edward Jones sign, so they want that rotated. I guess we were really paying attention is what they saw 5 pitches before anybody noticed.
3-2 the count. Johnson with a single, a sacrifice, and a pair of groundouts today. Florida with 3 in the first, 1 in the second, and another in the 8th. And that is what is so rare right now for Franklin, and a walk. But yet it's starting to happen here where his control, even though that was right on the pretty close to the black, it doesn't get the call, and that's where you get a little concerned he's not getting these calls.
And just, you know, the walks are just like I said, he's doubled his walk total in about the last handful of games, and that's not him at all. Now, there were some very close pitches there that did not go his way.
And so Ramirez will be the hitter. And strike 1. He is singled. Cardinals intentionally walk Ramirez in the second. He's grounded out to second, also grounded out to third.
Brett Hayes that is now the pinch runner for Nick Johnson.
And this is popped up. Pujols will take it for the out. Cardinals, for the most part, have done a really nice job in the 6 games this year with Hanley Ramirez.
Handling.
He had 1 hit. He was 1 for 9 in the previous series, and he's had a couple of hits in this series. That's it.
Really no damage. Just singles.
Cantu 5 for 8 against Franklin with a home run.
Franklin's one of those guys that really has a lot of pitches and varying his pitches, but the command on the corners.
Strike 2.
Still get it up there, 93, 94 miles an hour. That's good slider, splitter.
And a ground ball. Can they turn two? Slowly hit out at second. Double play. 6-3 on the double play. Out of Albert Pujols. And Pujols, a couple of base hits today. First two plate appearances. 5-1 Florida, bottom of the ninth. And Brian Sanchez is into the ball game. The Cardinals will have Lugo, Franklin spot, and then DeRosa.
The good thing is Sanchez will come in here trying to finish this game off. Not a save situation. So he's appearing for the 42nd time. 4 wins, 6 decisions, 7 holds. ERA 1 3/4. Almost a strikeout per inning pitched, and opponents batting .223. But because you're going 8 and 9, if you get a rally going, you'll be getting to the heart of the order to finish it off with a Cardinal victory in regulation.
As Al told you, Helms in the ball game over at third. Cantu moves from third to first. Positive sign there with Ryan Franklin getting that double play.
Yeah, that's what you wanted. Didn't want to see the walk. He really would prefer to give up a base hit than the walk, but had it erased with the double play and an efficient inning.
Julio Lugo. Gap into left center, and the first pitch a strike. Lugo is flied out to center a couple of times and singled and picked up an RBI.
Jason LaRue is on deck. As Brendan Ryan hopefully will be in the lineup on Friday. Give him a couple day off tomorrow to rest that little pinky. And Gloss still nursing the side muscle.
Marlins will play tomorrow night, first of 4 against the Reds. And the Cardinals day off, and then Friday night, Chicago.
He's trying to stretch it out, but those deals wait till it's fully healthy or you're through for the year.
1-2. And what has been a lost year this season for Gloss.
Sure has been. Boy, after last season, you were looking forward to seeing him start this year and hopefully have a second injury-free year, but January 21st went under the knife for a shoulder surgery and been really a tough time recovering.
Two and two.
Got to the winter warm-up though.
Ooh, it's a tough pitch to take. That's a couple that has gone Lugo's way.
Long day for Mike Winters back there behind the plate. And I thought there was a couple pitches that Franklin didn't get in the walk. overall, I think he's done a good job.
The 3-2 pitch. Taps slowly. And that's the first out. It brings in Jason LaRue. We turn to our player of the game this afternoon, presented by Budweiser, our Budweiser player of the game. Josh Johnson, 6 innings, 9 hits, 1 earned run, and he strikes out 5, no walks, and he's in line for the victory. He would go to 15-4.
Nunez, their closer, warming up in case this gets into a save situation.
One and one.
Rude. Thought that was ball 2. A little difference when you're 2-1, hitting 2-1 versus now it's 1 ball 2 strikes. So you have to protect the plate.
Up and in, 2-2.
I saw the catcher John Baker kind of get up on his haunches as they wanted to go up the ladder and see if LaRue would chase it.
And LaRue pulls it. Foul.
Close down the line, but the right call was made. And it's where it goes over the bag, and you can see it was clearly foul.
Here's a 2-2 to Jason LaRue. Popped up and out of play. Just over the Cardinal dugout. Check swing. Did not go. Still alive, 3-2.
Bat here. Brendan Ryan talking to Tony. He'll probably pinch run.
And LaRue pulls it foul. Put together a nice at bat here.
Yes. This date, I didn't see what year, but Jim Bottomley had quite a game. He was 6 for 6, 2 home runs and 12 RBIs. Where is he when we need him?
walk to LaRue.
Good at bat. Brendan Ryan will now pinch run for Jason Roos. So fouled off a bunch of pitches. You need base runners, and he accomplished that. That's what I'm saying. If you get something going right here, you get right into the heart of the lineup. You got DeRosa, Ludwig's on deck, and Albert. So, I mean, this game is far from over. Just need a little bit of a rally going. Almost way too big a lead for Brendan Ryan. You see he's holding the gloves, trying to guard and protect that left pinky. He jammed it going back into the bag. And
here's a 1-0 pitch. Pulled, and that's a fair ball off the bat of DeRosa. Fan touches it. Ron rule double. And then he throws it back. If you're going to do that, you got to keep the ball.
You watch right here, and catches the ball, and he's so proud of himself. But during LaRue's at bat, you know, they warned him the first time, but there you see he's reaching out there, and then he kind of starts going on the field and does retrieve that ball. But you know, it's one of those tough things. Freddie Garcia's arguing, but right now you better be thankful. Well, he's saying that my left fielder would have been first and third. We're saying it would have been one run in, and would have been. Or now they're going to the bullpen, so he'll bring in the closer Leo Nunez, as the Cardinals have something going now. One out, runners at second and third.
Nunez coming in, and he's got Ludwig and Pujols and Holiday. 5-1. Second and third, and one out, and Pujols on deck, and the Cardinals have something going here. So Tony Gonzalez brings in his closer Leo Nunez. 21 of 27. We've seen him in this series one time.
Well, this is an old-fashioned one right here, because coming in so many times guys start innings, but now does have 4 runs to work with. But it is a save situation. A couple men in scoring position. Hitting.
And Ludwig hit by the pitch.
And no, you don't like that, the way he is hurting.
Oh, man.
And
you know, he has had before injury where he's hit on his wrist.
this thing is Well, maybe it's a little higher than I thought. I thought maybe his last 2 fingers or so, and not a lot of bones. Doesn't really get a chance to get out of the way of it, and it gets there in the hands. He'll get down to first base, but it's a major concern right now to make sure there's nothing running in on him. And you see he gets him on the left hand, right last digit or two, isn't it? And you can see him tell in quite a bit of pain. And guess what?
Bases loaded for Pujols.
And guess what Pujols has done with the bases loaded?
And we saw this last night, and he drove in a run to make it 30 RBIs with the bases loaded this season.
Yeah, these fans that have stuck around, they may get a real treat right here. Because a grand slam would only tie it. But what the heck? He already has tied the National League record with 5 grand slams in a season. The Major League record is 6.
Talking about before Holiday got here, Dusty Baker, that game in which he hit the dramatic grand slam. Why not walk him even in that spot? But with Holiday on deck, it changes everything.
Right. If you walk in, you got 1 run in, then Holiday could hit the grand slam and win it.
Yep. The 1-0 pitch.
It's one of those deals that Tony La Russa could make that decision, get away with it if they lost. But very few managers can get away with it.
Looking for grand slam number 6 here in 2009.
As I said, that would tie a Major League record set by Don Mattingly. I know at least Don Mattingly has that.
Pujols hit by the pitch. That's 2 he's hit.
And then Pujols is hurt. He got back around on the shoulder blade.
That's an RBI for Pujols. And now the go-ahead run will be at the plate, the winning run. They'd come in and hit Ludwig, and now Pujols shaking his arm, and Nunez is shook up.
Well, the one thing they told me about Nunez is they're a little concerned about him in back-to-back games. And right behind the left shoulder blade, or shoulder, I got a little piece of that area. And you know, Albert doesn't show much reaction or pain. But they said, you know, most of the time they can feel comfortable with Nunez on back-to-back days, but they're real skeptical with him on 3 consecutive days.
Tying run is at first base. Winning run at the plate in Matt Holliday. Bases loaded here in the bottom of the 9th. First pitch to Holliday.
A lot of times like this, neither time, you know, Ludwig or Pujols was an intentional being hit. But we'll watch and see. Nunez more than likely will not leave anything middle in. Everything will be away as he's afraid to hit a third guy. And that often is a mistake.
0-1 pitch. Holliday, a little bouncer to second base, out at second, on to first, double play. And this game is over, 5-2. The Florida Marlins win it, and they take 2 of 3.